Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm a mental health and wellness practitioner, and I am now almost 48 hours into my long fast this week. Some of you might have noticed that I went for a cold plunge. I call it an ice bath. Today the ice wasn't visible, but it was just below 10 and then up to about 11 degrees Celsius, and I stayed in for 10 minutes. So what happens in my body between the 24-hour and the 48-hour mark? And I think the science of fasting is really so fascinating and so interesting. So I really like to always use like a fasting timeline chart for myself as motivation and to know what is happening at every stage. If you were wondering what my blood glucose is doing, I tested it about an hour ago and it's 5.2. So this morning, interestingly enough, it went up by a little bit, 5.7, and I think it was 5.1 last night when I recorded. And you might wonder what would raise the blood glucose if one didn't eat anything. What is understood, if we have the blood glucose sometimes still increasing in day 2, maybe even day 3, is that the body would go after any of the stored glycogen. So if you had some sugar and some carbs in the week or two before that you haven't managed to burn up or use up, your body will now access those stores, and that might cause a temporary rise in blood glucose. But for me, it's usually after day 2 or so, I usually see that it then starts to stabilize and go down. I do obviously check about 3 times a day just to get an idea. So upon waking, and then in the middle of the day, and then maybe again in the evening, just to see where things are at. So for me, usually ketosis starts at around 40 hours. But I was really surprised this morning that I had real hunger. I don't know if it was caused by the ice bath and my body trying to recover from that, even though I don't find it that stressful. But I was surprised at the hunger that I experienced today. And then I could start feeling the waves of ketosis kicking in. So suddenly no hunger. I get a very strong taste in my mouth. Personally, I don't test for ketones because I know that I'm in ketosis. And you might ask, okay, what are the signs? How do you know that you're on ketosis? My first sign is usually that my hunger goes. There might be small waves of hunger that might come along, but for the most part, my hunger disappears. I will have the odd bout of hunger, but as Dr. Jason Fung says, fortunately, hunger doesn't increase. So some people get really terrified that when they start to fast, that the hunger is just going to escalate and escalate. And I can reassure you with my experience that hunger, it's a wave and it doesn't intensify. So that's my first sign that I'm in ketosis, is that the hunger goes. A very strong sign for me, and sometimes even before I'm aware that the hunger has now sort of tapered off, is that I get a very strong taste in my mouth, like a ketone taste. And some people call it like the keto breath. I don't know, I without having tested that, but I suppose the strong taste in your mouth, for me, what really helps with that is a natural mouthwash that I use, or the apple cider vinegar tea. So that's my second symptom, is that I get a strong, I cannot quite describe the taste. It's almost as if one has had a strong black coffee, That's my experience. It might be different for everybody else, and I would love to hear in your comments. My third sign or symptom that indicates for me that I'm in ketosis is that my energy improves. So my energy, interestingly enough, now almost 48 hours into my fast, is better than this morning. So even though I wasn't fatigued this morning, and I make sure that I have my minerals in my water, I showed that to you yesterday as well, my concentrated minerals and trace elements. Some people have salt. So I have this 2 to 3 times during the day, and especially in the climate where I live, where it's hot and we do perspire, but we're losing a lot of fluid because we're not eating any carbohydrates, and the body is really shifting a lot. So my third strong indicator of ketosis is that my energy improves. And then after 48 hours, and usually when I wake up on day 3 of my fast, we've now had a massive dopamine reset. So our neurotransmitters get a real boost during fasts as well. So just going back 24 hours is when we get a real boost in serotonin, also a real boost in the intestinal tract cells. So it's like a whole gut reset that happens at 24 hours. And even if you can just make it to 24 hours, you would have had autophagy, which is clearing up of any faulty components in the cells, cellular repair, really improving. And then at the 24-hour mark, we see that the intestinal cells get a reboot. Then the 36-hour mark for me is interesting because it's usually before I get into my ketosis, but what they mention in the literature is that we now start to burn fat at 36 hours. So your body's going to go into any of the fat stores to now mobilize these fat stores to make ketones so that you still have a fuel source. And then at 48 hours, I usually feel that no medicine, no drug, nothing can do what a 48-hour fast does in the body. Even just getting to between 24 to 48 hours is so much repair starts to happen. And you know what I usually like to think about is how our ancestors didn't have a regular meal times. They didn't wake up and have a coffee with a biscuit. They didn't have cereal for breakfast. They didn't have a tea time snack and lunch and then afternoon tea and then supper again. And so our bodies are really extremely intelligent when it comes to fasting, when we've practiced fasting, and obviously when we have prepared for our longer fasts. But I always think of this in terms of like a story, like the cavemen wouldn't have been weakened if food didn't come in. Sorry, there's lots of traffic on the outside. Their bodies almost had to become more efficient. Their cells had to become more efficient. They had to almost find better energy and motivation. So of course, after 2 days, 48 hours of fasting, if our ancestors woke up the next day and just couldn't face the day, couldn't even consider going out on a hunt, that wouldn't have been great for their survival. So they had to be almost optimized the longer they fasted. So after this dopamine reboot that happens at 48 hours, unfortunately we're asleep when that happens, but when I usually wake up on day 3, I usually feel very motivated. I feel very happy. I feel very focused. Every fast is different, but I will let you know what happens tomorrow. But so imagine the cavemen, they had to now be motivated to go and find food, to either go and walk for miles, to go and look for something, or to make a plan. So I really feel that the signaling that takes place in our cells and in our bodies, and between the neurotransmitters and the other hormones and the digestive tract and the immune system is absolutely incredible. And so when you can just slowly but surely train your body to start to enjoy the fasts, you don't have to aim for a 5-day fast if this is your first fast, but just cleaning up your diet, removing the sugar, removing the gluten, removing all the starch and the sugars, and then slowly but surely getting your body into a more efficient state so that your nutrients are better, your protein quality is good, your fats are now really only made up of your butter and ghee and olive oil and coconut oil, and no more canola oil, no more margarine. And slowly but surely your body is going to start to feel better. You're going to start to feel more motivated, more interested in healthy lifestyle habits. And yes, there are some of us who really struggle with carb addiction, and it's like such a reward centered kind of a habit that people really struggle with. But if you can find other tools like a 36 or a 48-hour fast to just boost your neurotransmitters, get your gut to be healthier. The gut brain is it's a double lane highway. We can't have good brain health without the gut health. So I'm going to have another glass of my minerals. I'm probably going to have some apple cider vinegar. I do have a fasting call this evening, and I just wanted to check in to let you know how I'm doing, and I will try and do a video tomorrow morning and then maybe again tomorrow afternoon. So let me know in the comments if you have tried fasting, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, please share, and I appreciate your views. Thank you.